So Dali, I know from knowing you many years and everything, you've been incredibly successful in growing your practice, as a woman-owned business. There may be other women in law out there that are interested in doing this, but are fearful about what it takes to run a firm and balancing family and their time and everything. What was your experience, and what would you recommend, or what would you say to that audience?
If it's an option, you can run your own firm. The opportunity to be a lawyer and be a good mom and be a good wife and be a good friend, that is an option on your own. A lot of people are worried about starting their own firm because they think it's going to take a lot of overhead, or they need fancy equipment, or they need a fancy office, and none of that's the case. I started my firm as a 25-year-old with no office, a Craigslist apartment, and 2 roommates and a laptop.
Okay.
And 12 years later, I have more real law firm. I also had a child in between then, so I'm a mom of a 6-year-old, and I can tell you that when I had my daughter, I was back at work within 2 weeks, because work was really an extension of my home. I got to set up my office walking distance from my home. I got to bring my daughter to the office. She had a pack and play in the office. She's fantastic verbal skills now because she grew up in a law firm. But the point is that a lot of people are paralyzed by the fear of starting their own firm. And if they actually looked at how much they were generating for the firm they're at, and if they're committed to business development, they think they have the ability to do work on their own under their own terms, then especially as a woman, you have far more flexibility and opportunity if you can be your own boss.
Okay, so if you're working 60 hours a week and you're doing everyone else's work and you have no life-work balance, this may be something to think about.
Yes, and I think a lot of women experience a change when they have a child. The firm perceives them that way. For example, I had a friend who had just had a child, and she was passed up to go on a deposition in another state. And she was back from maternity leave, and she was quite upset. Why, I want to go on a deposition in another state. It gives me a night away where I can sleep in a hotel room for an entire night without having to wake up 4 times. And the firm had just assumed that because she had the child, why would you want to travel? You wouldn't necessarily want to go on this. We were doing you a favor.
Right.
So I think there's a lot of unsaid misperceptions or assumptions when you are a firm and when you are at that stage as a women attorney.
Right. Okay.